As the year comes to an end, we wanted to take a moment to look back and remember all that's happened this year. It's so easy to only look forward, but we're so thankful for all that God's been doing in and through our church and all the special moments we've had together as a community. Now, you might be wondering where I am right now. And to be honest with you, this is one of my favorite spots in the city. It's like a hidden jewel. It's Sunset Rink, where we rang in the new year together at our New Year's skate event. This is also where I broke my elbow. Metal plate, 6 screws later. Maybe not a great start to my year, but it was a great start to our church's year. We also rang in the new year with our week of prayer. And Jeremy kicked us off preaching a message about humbling ourselves before God. And we gathered throughout the week, various prayer meetings and prayer times, and ended with this powerful night of worship and interceding for our city at West Point Grey. And right before small groups kicked off again, we were able to take 35 of our incredible small group pastors on a retreat to Barnabas for training and rest and connection. It was a great time of refreshment as we entered the year pastoring the 500 people in our small groups. We also dived in together into the letter of Philippians through our Citizens Sermon series. We were able to release a devotional guide through the book written by various members of our church. There's other highlights in January, things like launching junior youth ministry in North Van or launching another season of Alpha. We also started a brand new food team who serves together to cook meals for our different ministry events happening throughout the week. January, however, lots of great stuff happened, but January ended on a bit of a downer note because the heater in Strathcona broke. I don't know if you remember how cold it was, but it did lead to this iconic photo of Matt Murray and Michelle's matching toques, which I think was a net positive.
February and March were such meaningful months as well. In February, we got to gather our whole Serve team together at our ministry center to worship and celebrate each other. Particularly, I remember that Tyler Staten from Bridgetown Church came and encouraged our church towards a deeper life of prayer. And I feel like that's impacted us in a significant way ever since. We also got to baptize so many people. Ricky and Erica got baptized in the ocean, which is pretty wild for February. And then in March at our West Point Grey site, we got to celebrate and baptize 6 different people who shared such beautiful stories of coming to know Jesus. And then right behind me, our Winter Freedom Session semester came to an end, celebrating 28 graduates who had invested 21 weeks of their lives to going deeper in discipleship, dealing with their pasts, and then working to form their lives afresh around integrity and honesty and vulnerability. It was a powerful night of celebrating them in that graduation. And then to end March off, we got to create space for more people to join our community at Strathcona by launching the now famous 11:15 a.m. service. Huge thank you to all of you who serve on Sundays to make space for people to encounter the Lord.
As April came, we finished our series in Philippians and started our series on Sunday gatherings, talking about why we do what we do at church on a Sunday. This led us into our Easter season, celebrating the death and resurrection of Jesus. And we invited our community to find hope in Him through Good Friday services and Easter Sunday services. We ended the month hosting our second ever Women's Night, gathering 240 women in North Vancouver where we worshiped together, connected with one another, and heard from our friend Emma, who is a pastor at Avant Life Church. And if you were there, you remember the biggest charcuterie board Vancouver has ever seen.
Another strong month in May as we started a season of the Marriage Course with 10 couples investing in their marriage over 7 weeks, all hosted by our dear friends Corey and Linda. Another huge moment for our church was when we got to introduce the one and only Scuba Sam on a family Sunday. This is him scaring Chris on stage.
It wasn't over. Oh, Scuba Sam, what's up?
Just delightful. Speaking of introducing friends, John Mark Comer joined us on a Sunday to teach us about the 3 levels of faith. We also gathered our Vision Builders community together to talk about the future, sharing about where we feel God is leading our church into for the next few years. And of course, can't forget our youth as they spent a weekend away at a conference in Langley alongside our diehard youth leaders. They continued on to then spend an entire night sleeping over at our North Van site on mats. Let's just say sleep was a little hard to come by.
For some of us, the month of June began at Kate's Park, where we did our first ever North Van outdoor baptisms. Michelle and Tennille both got baptized. And it was particularly memorable because that day was their birthdays. They share a birthday, and now they share the day that they got baptized. This month of June also marked a beautiful time in our city as our church was able to rally together to serve practical needs all across Vancouver and North Vancouver. During our serve day, we had 168 of you serving our partners and the city in super practical ways. It was also a memorable month. Many of you will remember that we got to gather with Christians from all across our city, from different churches, actually at the building right over here at Westside Church, as we united together to lift up the name of Jesus and pray for our city. It was such a beautiful thing to do that in unity, and we're excited to do more of that in the future. And as a community, we also began our summer saunter into the Psalms, which started with a masterclass on reading the Psalms with Daryl Johnson. And we released the digital guide on reading the Psalms, which contained reflections from a few individuals in our community. And we got to hear from 18 different people in our community preaching different sermons on the Psalms throughout the summer. I remember many of those really impacting me and my faith. And June also marked another season of small groups wrapping up and the end of season 3 of Chris's Corner. And I remember a particularly fun mashup video that Alex put together that seemed to get a lot of attention.
Whatever happened to predictability? The milkman, the paperboy, evening TV.
We had such an amazing summer this year. One of my favorite memories was hanging out here at the beach for our Serve Team Summer Party, celebrating a season of serving together with games and food, and then we got to end the night off watching the city's fireworks. We had a bunch more people get baptized in the ocean, like my friend Sierra, who painted this beautiful painting to represent her own story of experiencing Jesus' peace and presence in her life. In August, we also got to hold 2 summer day camps for our kids, one in Vancouver and one in North Vancouver, and we were able to invite 58 kids to learn, discover, play, and grow in the knowledge of Christ's love for them. Big week for our kids team, but even a bigger week for Scuba Sam. For our youth, we held our first ever summer campout. So 21 students and 12 leaders spent 3 days roasting marshmallows, worshiping together, and playing night games, all with 0 injuries. So thank you so much to our amazing youth and kids team. And to cap off the summer before fall launch, we got to baptize James and Brenda at Kate's Park, who had such a beautiful story of meeting Jesus through Alpha at our church.
September is always a fun month in the life of our church, but this September was particularly special because we launched The Way College. 12 students began their first semester just downstairs from where I am. We started with an amazing race all across the city, launching into new classes. It's been an amazing fall already with these students. And alongside of them, we brought on our 5 ministry apprentices. Many of you know them well. Individuals who feel called to ministry and have decided to spend a year with us to invest in their conviction and their skill set, and they are a massive part of our team in making things happen at The Way. As a church, we want to build up leaders for the church in Canada, and so September has felt like a huge step forward for us in that area. We also got to gather together here at the Ministry Center, actually in this room with 194 of our Serve team members to grow and learn and get trained for another year of ministry together. Many of you were here for it. And with another semester of small groups launching, we gathered everyone who serves on a small group team for an evening of eating together and celebrating and training and gearing up for another year of small group ministry. 32 small groups launched in September, 14 of which were new small group pastors stepping in for the very first time. I am so thankful for these people. And we launched our second service at North Vancouver. We started 9 and 11 a.m. services to create more space as our one service was starting to get a little too full. Our fall Alpha and a new semester of Freedom Session also started in September with 68 guests joining us on Alpha to explore faith, and 82 people signed up to go deep together in Freedom Session.
October was this year's month of generosity, which was a month dedicated to learning more about the amazing work our partners do, as well as raise funds to distribute directly to them. This year, we were able to raise just about $160,000 for over 30 different local, national, and global partners. As we continued our series in the 10 Commandments called That You May Live, we also got to release a book by Daryl with the same title. This book has helped dozens of us navigate what these commandments mean for our everyday lives. I also love that over 40 volunteers from 5 different small groups joined together to do a deep clean of Strathcona. Strathcona is a building that's shared by many different ministries and churches, and it was amazing to be able to serve our community, as well as others through this act of service. And of course, we can't forget about Halloween, as we got to hand out full-size candy bars to kids in the Strathcona, West Point Grey, and North Van communities. What a treat, literally. And as we entered November, we started strong with women's dinner parties across the Lower Mainland, hosted in 19 different homes with over 200 women sharing a meal together and connecting with one another.
Now in December, as we celebrate all that God's done in and through this community this past year, we remember that all these events and activities represent more than the things we did. It reflects hundreds of people experiencing belonging and community, exploring faith, pursuing the presence of God, becoming more like Jesus, finding freedom and healing, and serving together for the common good of our city, nation, and world. I think about the 600 people in small groups, meaningfully engaged in community every week, or the 200 guests who came through Alpha this year, finding a safe space to explore big questions about life and faith in Jesus, or the dozens of children and youth that are being discipled by our incredible team of passionate kids and youth leaders. So as we look to 2024, we're so excited about all that God is going to do next year. And we'd love to invite you to partner with us. None of this would be possible without the generosity of this community. And we want to continue to lean in with you to do meaningful ministry here in our city.